Hey guys, SickMotion here with a quick run through of the patch 9.4 notes. Uh, Big changes with this one for me, are the Conqueror changes, but we'll run it through right from the beginning here. Karthus has a massive nerf. He's not even playable anymore. Base damage on his Q is down by 5, so on a single target that's down by 10. Yeah, unplayable. Lucian mana cost going up by 20 is actually pretty big. Damage is down a little bit. I think the mana cost is bigger. Some changes on Rek'Sai. Now grants 25 Fury to match other abilities on the burrowed Q. Not really anything overly important there, at least to me. I don't really play Rek'Sai. Other than enemies can now dodge Rek'Sai's Void Rush ult by dashing and blinking massive distances away from Rek'Sai. Massive distance is not an overly descriptive term. I don't know how long that is, but you can dodge it now, I guess. Silas, actually, I think Silas is kind of, I don't know. I've seen him do really well and not do well. He's annoying to deal with when he's doing well. He feels like AP Riven, kind of. But he got buffed. The detonation radius on the Q we used to be 150 on champions, now it's 180, so a little bit higher. Now includes an indicator to show detonation location and radius. The Kingslayer heal base went down, which was 190 at max level. Now it's 170, and you got to keep in mind that ends up being doubled if the champion that they're hitting is within that threshold. So it's 40 healing less base, and then still has the ratios and whatnot on it. More visibility. The icon border now glows when you're within your max healing threshold, and it displays as a crit when the target was within the bonus damage threshold. And the R, Silas no longer draws turret aggro when stealing an enemy's ultimate. Guess it doesn't really damage you, so technically it shouldn't draw aggro. And Hydrak no longer fizzles if Silas loses sight of the target before the cast finishes. So just a little bit of quality of life there. I feel like the Q buff wasn't really needed, and the W nerf was nice, but I don't know. What do I know? Thresh Q mana cost up by 10 seconds, but the bigger thing is the cooldown on it is up by 4 seconds at level 1. It's still the same at level 5, but at level 1 is when you're going to be hitting those in lane and getting the early catches, early picks to end up winning your lane from that, so bit of a nerf there. Urgot got some pretty huge nerfs here. His mana costs are going to be a lot harder to control. Q being 60 mana, going up to 80 mana. Think about how much you're spamming that in lane. Now you're going to have to think about it more, because every 3 costs of your Q, you used to be able to get off 4 Qs for the cost of 3 now, basically. So you're not going to get as much damage out of your mana pool. You're going to have to use it a little bit more efficiently, and the W got just chunked hard, nerfed. The mana cost is 65 at all ranks, doesn't scale up anymore. It used to be 45 early. And if you were leveling your Q, it would stay 45. Now it's 65 at all ranks. So 1 Q and 1 W ends up costing 45 more mana. It starts to add up really quickly, and then the shield is just cut in half, basically. The base shielding is goes from 60 to 30. It still goes up to 150 from 180. So the base is still not the worst, but the bonus health, it was 0.3 of your bonus health, now it's 0.15 of your bonus health, so it's 50% less on the scaling of that from your bonus health, as well as costing more mana. So pretty big nerfs for Urgot. Not sure how the Conqueror changes will affect Urgot, if Urgot's will be taking Conqueror, and maybe that'll kind of compensate for this, we'll see, but that hurts. Critical Strike damage on Yasuo's Q. Went from 80% to 60%, and he also lost 3 base AD. So just nerfs on Yasuo there. Zed, bunch of changes here. Attack speed growth stat has gone up. Q base damage up. Bonus damage ratio up. Living Shadow recast range is up quite a lot, and the cooldown is lower early on. But they removed the death mark, giving you percentage of your target's attack damage. So all of those buffs earlier would kind of compensate for that, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if that'll make him stronger or weaker. I don't really play much Zed. But this is what the big kind of update was for today. I was playing a lot of top lane today, believe it or not. But the Conqueror change. So it's basically a mixture of Conqueror and Old Fervor, if people remember Old Fervor. It's somewhat interesting on how it works here. Um, it doesn't scale off of time anymore. So it used to be 4 seconds of being in combat would give you it. So you could be in combat with minions, combat with whatever, but you had to be in combat for 4 seconds until your Conqueror was ready to proc, and then you had to damage an enemy champion to activate it, and then you had your Conqueror going. And it used to do 20% of your damage against champions was converted to true damage. Now, it rather than time, it's like the Old Fervor. You have to hit champions to stack it up. It stacks 5 times, and then once it's fully stacked is when you get that true damage off of it. Spells and auto attacks will trigger the Conqueror. So, for example, a Pantheon auto attack will get 1 Conqueror stack. His Q will get 1 Conqueror stack. His W will get 1 Conqueror stack. His E will only get 1 Conqueror stack for hitting once. It doesn't get 3 since it's a triple tick. And then that's kind of in here, damage over time effects and ongoing sources of damage. So like Pantheon's E or Yorick's R can only grant 1 stack every 5 seconds. So like Darius's Bleed, I was testing it, didn't actually grant stacks because what I kind of found out was if the auto attack procs something else, it will only give you 1 stack because it gives you the stack for the auto attack, and everything else after that doesn't give you a stack. Yorick's Ghouls hitting a target for the first time will give a stack, and then the ghoul itself can't get another stack for 5 seconds. Darius's Bleed, you apply it by hitting them with a spell or an auto, so you get a stack for the spell or the auto that hit there, but you don't then get a second stack when the first time the bleed ticks. It's kind of weird, but once you kind of figure out how it works, it ends up working out. Another example is Jax's third hit. When he has his ult, every third hit does that bonus damage. Your first hit, 1 stack. Second hit, 2 stacks. Third hit, 3 stacks, and then your ultimate procs, but you're still only at 3 stacks because that ultimate is procking with the original auto attack that hit it. Anyway, a little bit of the technicalities there. What it ends up doing is it gives you 3 to 15 adaptive force, depending on your level, for 3 seconds if you're range, 8 seconds if you're melee. So you have for melee characters, you have 8 seconds to hit them again before it falls off. This adaptive force ends up, you don't get it by hitting minions, and you can't refresh it by hitting minions or towers, but you still have, say, the 75 AD at level 18 after you kill a champion for 8 seconds, so you can use that to hit towers, to clear minion waves and whatnot. You end up getting actually a ton of extra damage out of it. At 5 stacks, you have the 75 adaptive force. So adaptive force, one thing is that you used to get attack damage out of it. Now that you get adaptive force, it does work on AP champions as well. So kind of be interesting to see how it would work on other champions. Like I might try it on like Rumble, for example, because the secondary effect it does is that 10% of your damage is converted to true damage against champions, and you heal for that amount. So you used to get 20% before. Now you only get 10%, but you're healing for 100% of that 10%. So say you did 200 damage, 20 of that is true damage from the 10%, you heal for 20. It's not a percentage of that like a lifesteal thing, it's just you're healing for that true damage, and that true damage is the pre-mitigation damage that is then converted to true damage. I could see it actually getting pretty insane. Like champions, like Renekton, for example. Renekton's E in hitting a champion to get there is 1 spell cast, procs your Conqueror. Auto attack is a second one. That's 2 stacks of Conqueror. Reset your auto with his W. That's 3/4 because it's 2 auto attacks. And then your Q, 5. You're fully stacked instantly. If you have your Fury and your W hits 3 times, and you dash in, auto, reset the auto with W, you have max stack of Conqueror right now. And then once you have max stacks, say you're in a team fight, you hit a big Q. The Q heals you for what it would normally heal you for. 10% of that damage also heals you. 10% of what your ult's doing to champions is healing you. It starts to get out of control pretty quickly. I was playing it on Olaf. Olaf's W, the healing amplifying effect of it, ends up amplifying the healing of the Conqueror as well. The Conqueror, since it gives you 75 AD at level 18, makes it so your E does more damage, which has an AD ratio for the scaling. So it ends up being actually a lot better on Olaf than your axes end up hitting for 10% true damage, which then heals you for that 10% of that true damage. A lot of really interesting interactions with it. I've only really tested the like melee bruiser ends of it, so things like Rumble, possibly, for example, and other AP champions could also be used since it is adaptive force. So it'd be interesting to see what ends up coming out of it. What was I gonna say? There's another thing. Oh no, I'm forgetting it now. Oh, it's 8 seconds to refresh it as a melee champion, but as a range champion, it's only 3. So when you're playing, like, say, like Jinx or something, you can get those auto attacks off really fast, but then if you can't auto attack again for 3 seconds, you have to stack it all up again. So it might not end up feeling worth it for an AD champion. Just because you're not always going to be able to auto attack, because maybe getting off that one extra auto attack to keep it stacked ends up getting you out of position and you die. So it wasn't worth keeping it stacked. I am curious to see how it ends up going out. I do like the fantasy of it kind of being back to old Fervor with a mixture of what Conqueror was and kind of being like a hybrid of both. Kind of cool. Essence Reaver cooldown reduction is now unique. Some other kind of stuff there. The mid 9.3 item updates, not really going to go over that. And then there's just some basic things here. Attack speed growth stat on Azir has gone up. I saw a lot of Azirs today, might be because of that. Mega Gnar armor and magic resist growth has gone up quite substantially. Hecarim got some pretty big early game buffs. 32 mana on his Q, now is 28. That actually does help you get off a couple more Qs with your mana pool early, either in the jungle or maybe even in lane. And his E cooldown is now 4 seconds shorter at level 1, so that you have more opportunities to go in for a gank or possibly escape if your E was on cooldown, but it comes up 4 seconds sooner. Rengar's Q base damage is 30 at level 1 rather than the 70. I don't know, it says bug fixing. Fixed the bug where Q dealt more rank 1 damage than intended. Didn't even realize that was a thing. Kind of interesting. It went from 70, and then if you level it up again, it went down. Weird. Some other bug fixing stuff here that I'm just going to kind of scroll through. Nothing overly crazy here. Trundle's W is now 40 mana rather than 60, and the attack speed goes up to 100% at level 5. I haven't seen a Trundle in so long, I forgot it was even a champion. First minion spawn, the first wave of top and bottom minions are ghosted for 28 seconds rather than 18. Ghosted means that you can't body block them. Trying to like make the lane set up differently and push differently. So I think that was mainly aimed at pro play. And then there was a bunch of voice effects and sound effects updates. One of them, though, that I will go over, normally don't go over these things, is Olaf. It's actually kind of nice. I'm not sure with the other skins. With the Brolaf skin that I was using today, there's some visual changes and more clarity on it. His auto attack feels a little smoother, and his axe, everything kind of feels like it flows and is a lot more smooth. It didn't feel like anything was changed and felt negative afterwards. And then the axe also has a bit of a circle around it to show the pickup radius where you have to hit your hitbox into to be able to pick up the axe. It's less knowing where I need to go to pick up the axe because I played so much of the champion, and more that it kind of makes the axe more visible because it has that pickup radius on it. So when you're in a big clusterfuck of a fight, it's a lot easier to find the axe. Sometimes, like, I've literally lost the axe because the axe pulling rate is not very good. Sometimes it can't go into terrain. It either has to go on one side of the terrain or to the other. And the way it chooses it sometimes feels buggy. One time you'll throw an axe, it'll get stuck in a wall. One time you'll throw an axe the exact same way, and it'll be on the other side of the wall. Very frustrating. I've lost a lot of fights because the axe doesn't actually end up going where I want it to. But all that aside, when that does happen, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the fight, it's kind of hard to tell where it actually ended up. So it's actually nice to have the pickup radius circle thing around it, just to have some visual clarity. And then yeah, these are all like visual upgrade type things. LP splashing can now put your off positions into promo series. Kind of interesting. You now get decay warnings for your off position. The animated celebration for includes your summoner name. I don't know. The I don't know, ranked is in a really bad spot right now. I was reading up through a bunch of Twitter threads of people just outraged and begging for a ranked reset because it's just so dumb right now. People gaining way less than they lose. Games just feeling really coin flippy at that. Ranked not really meaning anything. So the game's like, I don't know. There's games where I see an autofilled player that's like Diamond 3 in their main position, but they're autofilled to mid. And say they're a one-trick pony jungler that doesn't know how to play mid. Now they're playing mid and they're Platinum 3 in mid, and that's what their off role is. And they're laning against a Diamond 1 one-trick. How is that even fair? Like things like that. What's the point of having a separate rank for different roles if it's not matching you based on that rank? And the issue ends up coming to me where I'm playing top lane. Doesn't feel like a very influential role as it is if the game and rankings was balanced perfectly, which it isn't. But I'm playing top lane. My mid laner's going 0-4 because he's Plat 3 versus a Diamond 1. That's hundreds and hundreds of LP. Multiple divisions difference in skill. And it's a person who plays that role and a person who doesn't play that role. If that person mid lane that got autofilled loses, they only lose their rating in that in their off role. It doesn't really matter to them. Everyone else on the team loses rating in their main role. And the game was completely out of their control because someone else got matched into a match that they shouldn't have been. I don't see the point of having different ratings for your different roles if it's not taking that into consideration in the slightest when you get autofilled. So yeah, ranked is in a terrible spot right now. I have really nothing positive to say about it. But anyway, that's the end of the patch note video. I'll stop ranting about that. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. We will see you next time. I'm looking to put out more of the full games. I've been getting some positive feedback. People liking those full games replays from the stream going back onto YouTube. My computer restarted for a Windows update, and the way I've been doing the full games is while I'm on stream, if there's a game that I think I might want to clip, I kind of write it down in a notepad, and then I go back and clip them all at the same time at the end of the week later. My computer restarted, didn't save that notepad file last week, so I lost all the games that I was going to keep from last week, which is why I haven't put a game up for a while. So at the end of this week, hopefully I'll have some more. We're actually moving at the end of this week, so it might be a little longer until we get another game because a lot of kind of work and other stuff outside of League and streaming going on for me right now. But those, although they might be delayed for more coming out, they are here to stay for at least the foreseeable future. So look for more of those in the future. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time.